whenever I meet people and I tell them, hi, I'm a dietitian, they're like, oh my god, I have to hide my food from her. You know, like, oh my god, she's gonna judge. Or they will straight be like, how many calories is this? So like, I feel like, guys, I'm still a human, not just, you know, not your GPT dietitian telling you how much.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Not Only Diet Talk, and very soon we are already at our episode 26. And in this episode, as you can see, similar like previous episode, we are doing something different. You are not seeing like online face. Yeah, yes. And right now we are physically present with our guest speaker, and we are going to introduce her or let her introduce herself in a bit. But in today, and before we start the episode, as usual, I want to remind or to share with everyone, in myfindiet, we aim to bring sustainable, healthy dietary behavior for everyone.
Yeah,
right.
And I think it's good to differentiate as well. What's the difference with the previous episode? Because the 5 previous episodes are mainly on the collaboration we have with the brand. And it's a special episode. And now we are back into our Not Only Diet Talk, like episode 26, the continuity from the previous one. And just to remind everyone again, we do this Not Only Diet Talk because we want to gather all the dietitian and nutritionists in Malaysia, and to understand what they are doing, their career background, what's their view towards, public nutrition behavior, whatever it is. It's more of like a very chill and chit-chat session, I would say.
And it is not focused only on diet, because I think there's a lot of information about diet already, and we are trying to bring something else.
Yeah, exactly. And probably the most important part we want to show to people, a lot of young faces. Actually, who is a dietitian,
Yes.
Yeah. Alright, Shi.
Right, so basically, if you are watching on YouTube, and you probably can see our guest, and you might hear, she laughed just now, and then our guest is she's a dietitian as well, and we welcome Hasanah.
She's very popular, by the way.
Oh yeah, she's very popular. Yes, for those for some of the audience who are listening on Spotify, you can feel free to check out the video on YouTube. Right, so let's welcome Hasanah.
Hi, Hasanah.
Yeah, hi Hasanah.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. A bit tired, but good.
That's not good.
It's okay. You gotta go push through.
Yeah. So maybe Hasanah, you want to tell yourself a little bit, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So hi everyone. My name is Hasanah, but you can call me Hasanah, or you can find me online under the name of Dietitian Hasanah. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science Dietetics with Nutrition from IMU, but now I'm pursuing my MBA at Asia School of Business.
Wow.
I practice freelance as a dietitian. I'm not famous like what they say popular. I create content whenever I'm free online, and I just that's a little bit about me, I think.
Yeah, I think the interesting part is the MBA that we hear, right? Like why dietitian, why MBA? So that's a little bit like ideas on what are the things that we're gonna talk today. But before that, maybe Hasanah, this is something that we try to bring and continue from the special episodes as well, where we ask each of our guests, what is actually your nutrition principle or perspective as a dietitian?
Okay. I think that's a good question, and I always say this to my clients as well, is that I believe that food is the foundation of everything. Mm-hmm. You have to eat, every day everyone has to eat, and it's the foundation. I think if you look at the Maslow's hierarchy, the pyramid, right? Then food is at the very bottom, which means it's the most important thing. So learning how to fix that or do that at its best can change your entire life, your whole perspective, and how you feel and how you react and how your everyday goes. Sometimes people are chasing success, but then they don't fix what's at the bottom. They're busy chasing what's at the top of the hierarchy.
They forget the needs, the basic needs, right?
Exactly.
That's a good one. Do you have any thoughts on that?
We all need foods to survive, and when you do it right, when you understand how nutrition works in our body, then they will give us a better life, instead of before us chasing other necessity, for example, like better quality of life, for example, etc.
That's cool. Alright, so let's move on into our first discussion or topics that we really curious to know about Hasanah. I first get to know Hasanah couple of years back
Yeah.
during
Quite some
Monster.
time. Yeah,
What,
exactly.
right?
It was like 2018. Is
Yeah,
it?
I was like, oh, there's a dietitian as well in,
Yeah,
in that
same.
award, right?
Yeah.
And then we connected on Instagram, and then we see each other. You know, like you do content, and then I also do content on myfindiet, and that's why I get to know more about Hasanah, because she constantly updated some contents and doing some collaboration and all.
Yeah.
So we want to know like what sparked your interest to sort of like venture into that content creation stuff.
I think, I don't know about you, but like when I started, it was just that I had so much of this information and this knowledge from learning when I was studying that I felt like I wanted to share. You know, like usually like when you tell your family, oh, I'm a dietitian, I pack up makanan, you know, everybody's going to be like, oh, okay, what should I eat this? What about this? So I thought like I create something that's like FAQ kind of thing, you know. And it also helped me study because, you know, during the first year you learn about all the vitamins and you learn about all the basic micronutrients and stuff like that. So that's why I started posting first. It helped me study and also helped them kind of have an FAQ sheet.
So it wasn't like because you really want to be a content creator.
No, I never thought it was possible. I started off, I had like 150 followers because it was my personal Instagram. I had like 150 followers of friends too. And it took me so long, and now also I don't have that many followers, but like it took me so long to even get to that stage.
Understand.
So I just did it out of like, I don't know, out of like wanting to study and also wanting to create an FAQ kind of place.
Okay.
I see.
But-
Sorry, I want to ask Hasanah.
Yeah.
So you started this creating content and be it like a revision for for yourself, starting from student life.
Yeah, so I started.
Since you are studying, then you already.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh.
Since Sem 2, I think Sem 2 or Sem 2.
Same too. That was like first year.
Yeah, exactly.
First
So I
year.
said muscle micronutrients, you know, when you learn about micronutrients,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what's vitamin A, vitamin B. So like if you scroll like way back, I don't know if I archived those posts yet, but they're not very aesthetic. But like I posted like vitamin A, what is it, and stuff like that, what they can do for you. And like I remember like people used to make fun of me because I used to create content and I didn't have much followers, right? So people used to be like, "Ooh, Dietitian Hasanah making stuff
Oh
and
my
everything,"
God.
and I was like, "Okay, whatever. I mean, I don't really care. I mean, if
That's
you want
not your
it, you
purpose,
can
right?
see it, because it didn't really matter to me. I just wanted to have something that I was proud of when I posted and people
Exactly.
could always refer to, and I felt proud with what I had to.
And I think at that time probably not much of people are doing this thing, right?
Exactly.
It's pretty recent, I think, after COVID or something.
Yeah,
During
I think
COVID,
during
after
COVID,
COVID.
things kind of
Yep.
surged up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. To be honest, it was just that I felt I always have had this idea that if you wanna, like, I don't know, when I started my bachelor's, I feel that you should prepare yourself for the working world.
Yeah.
And what was my unique selling point at that part?
Yeah.
So I felt that if I had like a portfolio, and I felt that my Instagram would be a portfolio.
That's smart.
I don't know why I felt like if I just have an Instagram that I post about, I don't know, just basic things or like just for, I don't know, I know it's meant to be a social media for just your friends and stuff like that, but I felt like I didn't find the purpose in that. So I
Okay.
feel like I needed to find more purpose for my Instagram, and having it to be like an FAQ or a place that created content gave it more purpose, more meaning.
And how is it now? Like, is it serve the purpose as what you were hoping it would be before?
I would say so. I feel like a lot of people do come and ask, and I think it was also nice that when I started it, my handle was also student dietitian.
You did?
Because when I first started it, like it was like Hasanah, but like student
Yeah,
dietitian.
yeah.
Now I changed it
Oh.
to Hasanah dietitian, and I
Of
changed it to
course,
that. But like so it was also because I felt that later on, if students ever, when I wanted to be a dietitian,
Yep.
there was nothing that I could find
Nothing,
online about it.
Yeah.
So I felt like if at any point students wanted to come back
Yeah.
and look for somebody who went through the student journey, maybe they could go through my Instagram and see my student journey and
that's
where I
true.
got through and so on like that, and how I progressed.
Yeah.
And I felt that now I have a lot of students that reach out to me like, "Hi Kak Hasanah, I'm interested, but I don't know if it's a good feel or not," and so on. So sometimes I just do calls with these students that
Just
just want
talk
to
to
know.
them?
Yeah, just talk to
Really?
them. Yeah.
Ow.
Yeah. So like I'll give advice, and I'm very explorative. So after doing my bachelor, my mom has this idea that you have to study in Malaysia for your bachelor's.
Okay.
So that's why I studied at my bachelor's in
IMU.
but if it were up to me, I probably would have done it in Australia or like
US.
in the US, because I wanted that USRD
The
or
title,
the
yeah.
APD. But now Malaysia has the AHP, right?
Yep.
So I think that brings more credibility.
True.
Yeah.
So when I talk to students as well, I kind of tell them like, okay, these are like different dietetic credentials that you can get, and what you can do as a dietitian in
yep.
Malaysia, what makes us different, and so on.
I see.
Right.
Very
But-
extensive.
Yeah, very extensive. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so far, because I actually yeah, for everyone's information as well, this is my first time meeting Hasanah, technically.
exactly.
And
I've only seen it online.
always,
And it's my second time.
Oh, yeah.
Like after how many years?
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and basically because you guys get to know each other
Yep.
way earlier and you keep in touch. And before I talk with you, right, before we invite you to come for this podcast and things like that, I actually browsed through. And right now, your focus, I'm just wondering right now on your social media, for example, because previously you do it for recording, right? And right now, are you still actively sharing, or it will be on like a
Up to her.
up to your timing basis, for example?
I think as much as I would love to create content, one is I don't have time. I think schedule really doesn't permit. I have this whole, like, if you go through my Google Docs, I have this thing that I create a content calendar, but I can never, commit to it because my schedule is always changing.
Yeah.
So I do it when I can. But I also kind of change the narrative, and also maybe eventually it will change again. But the narrative that I'm going with now is that dietitians are also humans.
Exactly.
Because whenever I meet people and I tell them, hi, I'm a dietitian, they're like, oh my god, I have to hide my food from her. Like, oh my god, she's gonna judge. Or they will straight be like, how many calories is this? So like, I feel like, guys, I'm still a human, not just, not your GPT dietitian telling you how much. So that's kind of where I'm going with the content as well. Whenever I can, I intersperse like things like diet content, very diet heavy. But whenever I can't do that, I also intersperse with my daily life, things that are normal, and also like other things in my life, like like gym activities or running and those kind of things, to show the holistic life of a dietitian, while also giving that information of like that hardcore facts information of being a dietitian.
I get it on that, because at the end of the day, it's also something, you're doing something that more relatable to like an everyday life, right? So when people see it, people can relate,
Exactly.
Not just like telling people, oh, you kena makan suku-suku separuh.
Exactly.
But then how people who works in the office,
Exactly.
you get what I mean, right? Yeah.
So like every time I give a health talk, I always do the very end, we do a game. So the game that I do in my health talk is I will put a bunch of pictures and I will mimic a gerai makan.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I will be like, okay, now we are at a gerai makan. This is all of the options that you have. Tell me, what would you take honestly, and how would your portions be? And I make them do like, before this health talk, what would you have chosen? After this health talk, what do you think you will change?
That is very practical.
Yeah. Because most of the times when I do health talks, I do for like companies, right? Like big companies like Petronas or and so on. So when I do it for them, their options are literally, if Petronas inside the KLCC, I talk about what options is in KLCC at the food court, or like if they walk down to Pelita or something like that. So making it more relatable, because sometimes it's always, to be healthy you have to eat a salad, chicken Caesar salad, and I feel like that's not very Malaysian.
And we are Malaysian, right?
So like, I eat masak lemak. I can't tell you not to eat masak lemak,
so good,
but I can tell you how to eat masak lemak healthier. Like, how can you make it in a plate, make it much healthier, that you can have your masak lemak, enjoy it, and not feel guilty about it.
Yeah, I think that actually relates to our second question that we wanted to ask her, right? Like, how would you differentiate yourself from a non-credited, like a content creator? And I think that's the fact, like we try to make it relatable to our knowledge, and the most important part, we are having our own credentials,
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
Is there any other things that you think that makes us, or how do you differentiate yourself?
I think even when I see online, I know when someone has a credential, and not just through the videos and how they approach the suggestions or the advice. Because when you give the advice, right, as dietitians, and I realize, we never give like, you cannot eat this. Like restriction. Especially, I feel at the very least, the content creator dietitians that I've met, not a single one has said restriction-based diet. And all these non-credited ones, it's always like, you shouldn't eat this. Did you know if you do this? And then,
beware,
exactly. So like, at the end of the day, I realized that when it comes to all of us content creator dietitians, we always talk about what you can add to your diet, what's missing. Because sometimes people are so focused on what they have to remove. Oh, I have to cut nasi out. Or I have to do this. Instead of doing that, what can you put positively that you can add? Because we always feel like addition is a positive and subtraction is a negative.
True.
So I always tell my clients, before you even focus on what you have to reduce, always try to do, I have this mental checklist thing that I ask them to do. Do you have carbs in your food? Do you have protein in your food? Do you have fiber? And you get brownie points if you have healthy fats. So every time before you eat, do that checklist. And if you don't have it, add it. Don't think about what you have to cut off first, add first.
Exactly.
Then we'll get to the whole, finding the art of balancing portion size.
Yeah, I think this really aligns with your nutrition principle just now, right? Because it's the
exactly.
basic needs of the people, right?
Yeah.
The food. Before you go,
Okay.
What is the thing that you think it's your niche that you really love to focus more on, for example?
I feel like it's very vague at the moment. More or so what I want to do, my niche is just relatable like diet. I don't think there's particularly, but I would say that I'm more passionate if there is when it comes to cases would be like PCOS, obesity, diabetes. Those are like my favorite ones. PCOS particularly because maybe I'm a girl and I feel like I've seen how difficult it is. With PCOS, they kind of struggle with weight management, right? So sometimes people give them a very blanket advice. Oh, you should do this and do that, and I feel very sad when they get to go when they have to go through that and they go through restrictive diets and they don't lose any weight. They end up gaining weight. So I feel like because of that, I'm like very passionate about it. But in general, I feel like I'm pretty flexible. Maybe I don't know. I would say my niche is just relatable diet. Like I'm the dietitian that will tell you boleh makan masak lemak because I like masak lemak.
Okay, let me
But
just move this, the whole thing into a bigger picture. Maybe the audiences.
Okay.
Yeah, do you think you attract more of the younger or like the older men, women, those kind of like...
I think given my age, I do say that I may attract more younger population. But I would say that because of the corporate talks that I do, I also have a big proportion of my clients that from those health talks come on to my platform and follow me and stuff like that.
Okay.
I would say, but if they were to find me online, probably the younger generation because of how I approach my content is very
it's
very relaxed.
Very relaxed, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I particularly really like the part where you mentioned about I would say localize and make it relevant with everyone's diet, especially given that in Malaysia we have so many different cuisine and etc. Right. Yeah. Okay, so besides just now because you mentioned about corporate talk as well, did you also do brand collaboration?
Yeah, I do. So I kind of do a little bit of everything, I guess. I do brand collaborations, I do one-to-ones, I do health talks, I do cooking demos.
Yeah.
Even cooking demos.
Yeah, I do. Lately I've been doing quite a lot of it. And I enjoy it. I feel like a 2-in-1, I get to cook, I get to eat.
And you need to talk, right? Well,
yeah.
doing the demo,
but
right?
it's not too bad, I feel. Maybe because I like talking. So
You like cooking?
I like cooking and I like talking.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
That's
guess
perfect.
together it works. Sometimes a bit hard, but over time I kind of got used to it.
I see. All right. Yeah. So because you mentioned about some things that I noticed recently, basically, there's a lot more. I would say healthcare professional or even dietitian and nutritionists. We started to have brand collaboration. They create content. There's an emerging trend, and they start to have brand collaboration. They collaborate with some brand, be it food or supplements and etc. I just want to ask, like, since you also done that before, like, what is your thoughts about the ethical parts of us as a dietitian, which probably what we get to know or during study time, right? Probably we have certain clause where it might not be very ethical for us to promote certain brand, for example.
Okay. So, I think that's a very interesting question. We learn about principles of ethics at IME at least. It was like in the first semester itself. So it has stuck with me until today. What my professor said, until today, it stuck with me. And if you see my invoices, right, to clients that do it, it always puts a note there. This collaboration is in alignment with the Malaysian Dietitian Association Code of Conduct. So, and I always preface any client introduction. I always say, thank you so much for the opportunity, but these are some of the things that I will not do as a dietitian. I don't mind talking about, for example, if I'm talking about a protein product, I don't mind raising awareness about the importance of protein and so on, but I will not endorse a specific brand. And I don't think in any of the videos I specifically said like, okay, go buy this brand. I think the most I've said is that I'm partnering with this brand to raise awareness for this, but I don't particularly say you can buy this brand. I always say like there's a lot out there in the market. go back and look at the facts. So for example, if you're doing if you do something about like nutrition labels, then you can tell them, go back and read the nutrition label now. Now you know like high protein matters. So when you compare different brands of milk, then you can choose the one that's best suited for you.
Exactly.
It doesn't even have to be the highest. It can be one that suits your profile and what you need. And I always tell my clients that, like the brand collaboration clients. And so far they've been very responsive,
Accommodating, right?
accommodating,
Yeah.
because their goal is also not to promote their brand, particularly when they work with a dietitian, but rather to help us highlight the key components.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I've worked with like brands like Olay, and Watsons and stuff like that for skincare products, because skincare products have like vitamin C and stuff like that, right? So they got a dietitian to come on board and talk about like the benefits of vitamin C. So
Interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
Okay, maybe to divert the attention a bit, to Shenyi, what do you think about our recent collaboration, Do you think we promote, against with what Hasanah was giving her context just now? Because to me, when we talk about this ethical and stuff, it's always the thing that we're afraid to discuss or debate,
True.
And I feel like every dietitians need to have this awareness.
Agreed.
Yeah, because until when that we do not want to get any collaboration just because we do not want to have a certain partnership. Like what she said, even with the skincare products, right?
Right.
Yeah. So what do you think about?
I think first thing first, as a healthcare professional and a content creator, is our role to, like the main purpose of us creating content, for sure. I mean, at least for me, and in myfindiet as well, we are trying to bring the right information to the audience, to the community itself. So whenever there is a collaboration request from brands, for example, because recently we have the collaboration with brands as well. So we make ourselves very clear in terms of, if let's say we get to know from nutrition perspective, you have certain benefits that we can do for comparison, right? Or if you have certain ingredients that I can highlight to raise awareness among community. For example, protein you mentioned just now. For example, vitamin C. So that would be our main focus. And there's a lot of liaising as well throughout the whole process. And in terms of to make ourselves very clear. And also we are not specifically talking about you can only choose this one because I choose this one. But go back to the fundamental as well, you can choose based on your needs.
I think at the end of the day, when you guys are saying this, I feel like not everybody can be that firm, because at some point when it comes to having this brand collaboration, you are dealing with corporate, right? So sometimes people are afraid to say of certain things. I don't know.
I think that fear or that feeling, as in, because it's a brand collaboration, you get certain basically people sponsor your content, and some of the content creator might feel inferior, as in like, because this is sponsored, this is paid, right?
Exactly.
And probably they will feel inferior and just follow the request.
But I feel like personally, there's two thoughts that come to my head. One is that when you take a brand collaboration, it's a lot of integrity in you as a dietitian, and I think that's also instilled. I don't know, maybe it's in our curriculum or something like that, or maybe it's our own passion for our profession. That I feel like if I go and promote something wrong, it's like I'm doing my profession wrong.
Exactly.
True.
Like I'm shaming myself. So because of that, I always make sure that whatever I say, I'm proud to say it again in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now. I have declined collaborations, even though sometimes some of it is like, very lucrative amounts that they give you. And then on the second note that you said, like sometimes people see the amount of money because it's sponsored, they feel bad. But actually one of the things that I recently thought about, and it came to my mind, is that actually you don't have to feel bad, because they are paying you for your expertise to talk about that. They are not paying you to endorse a brand, and they shouldn't. If that's what it is, then you shouldn't take that. But if you are sharing your expertise on what probiotics is, if you are sharing your expertise on what protein, vitamin C, then you deserve to get paid for it, because you studied so hard and you have a credible, background. So you are an expert in that field to talk about it. So don't feel, I feel at least, don't feel ashamed to get paid for that. But always do it with integrity. Something that if you do it 20 years from now, you can still hold your values and say, I still stand by that in 20 years from before.
To add on that, I think it's a nice point of view that you are giving, because no, actually I forgot my point. I really have that in my train of thought, and then I'm like,
The being firm, that's what you mentioned
no,
about.
it was like very important that I wanted. Oh, yeah. I think like whatever that Hasanah and Shenyi was giving the thoughts just now, it's also like the fact that company are starting to approach us rather than the non-credited, like content creator, for example, right?
Accessibility.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a good tips and tricks as well from both of you, your point of view, and anyone, whoever listening to it, if you get that kind of like collaboration and stuff, don't be afraid to explore.
Exactly.
Yeah. Otherwise, people will never know dietitian and nutritionist, right?
Yeah.
That's true.
And I believe, or I foresee itself, when more and more healthcare professionals who started to do this, at least we are going to flood the social media with the content that comes from a credited person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fact-based.
Yeah,
Evidence-based, fact-based.
Yeah.
Understand. That's good. Yeah, I think I'm gonna skip the second question.
Okay.
Because I'm very curious to know about your MBA.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So we're gonna change into the next topic, yeah.
Okay.
So Hasanah, you said that you are pursuing your MBA right now, right? Maybe I don't know if everybody know what is MBA. Maybe you just wanna give a little context what is MBA and why you choose to pursue MBA.
Okay, so an MBA is basically a Masters of Business Administration. What we learn about is essentially how to run a business, how operations work, you learn the financial part, you learn the operations part, you learn the technical part. So you're equipped with all of that. The reason why I switched gears a little bit, I don't feel personally that it switched gears, but I think to a lot of people it's like, whoa, you changed from like being a dietitian to going to doing business now, And I think there's two reasons that I went and pursued this MBA. First reason is that I'm a firm believer of I should have a job that sustains me, and I want to keep my dietitian portfolio as a passion project. And that could be different for everyone, but for me, I just find that I find the most joy doing my dietetics work when it is not tied to like a KPI or financial revenue goal, but rather just something that I go and do whenever I'm passionate and I'm happy and my stress reliever. So because of that, to pursue my career journey, I felt that MBA is the best next step for me. But my second point is also that I think it also kills two birds with one stone, because as I build my platform as a dietitian, Dietitian Hasanah, I feel that it can grow further. But right now it's at the plateau stage because I may have run out of ideas or I may not have the capacity that I need, the knowledge, the technical knowledge that I may need. So I feel this MBA can kind of like pump me with the right information, the right knowledge to help me really maybe creatively think of a way to bring my dietitian platform to a whole new level.
Understand.
So I was thinking that from doing this MBA, I can learn so much and it can benefit so much in my career trajectory. And yeah, that's why I chose to do the MBA.
That's very interesting to know behind all of these things why you are pursuing it, because I've been observing people sometimes, when meeting new people. And I'm always very curious towards the psychological part, how they were brought up, and to me it's like it's interesting to see like how like people nowadays, students or like young people like us nowadays, are not following just the conventional or conservative pathways. Like we always wanted to do something new. So what's your motivation or something that drives you to do this? Because okay, let me give some context why I'm asking this, because people always just at the end of the day want to be a clinical. They want to be in hospital. They want to be so proud of wearing that white coat. You know what I mean? So I want to know like why you are choosing these different pathways. Not even different, right? Actually, it's just like adding some values.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you mentioned you are trying to level up what you're doing related to dietitian to another new field. Yeah. But what was your motivation?
So I think for me, to be very honest, when I graduated, I wanted to be a clinical dietitian. I didn't start with that thought. I ended with that thought actually, that I wanted to be a clinical dietitian because my clinical placement, I enjoyed it so much. I never thought that I would.
Where did you did your?
HTG in
Seremban.
Yeah.
I was born there, by the way.
Okay. But yeah, so like after doing my placement there, I thought I wanted to be a clinical dietitian because I felt like that's how I could measure my impact. Because it was the most, obvious impact that you could see.
You're right.
You give patient this, patient become this. You see the progress so clearly. And versus patients that you see from afar or something like that is different.
True.
Because when patients are at the hospital, you monitor everything they eat.
True.
Yeah.
So that's why I think clinical dietitian is the most preferred role for most dietitians. But I think now that we're going into this more of a, I don't know, more Gen Z era, or I think Gen Alpha, is it the most
The recent
one? I don't know. I feel like I'm too old for this now. But yeah, into this whole new generation, people are trying to break barriers and do something different. And I think that's also what I want to do. So my motivation is that I feel that whatever I do, I always want to do with a purpose in mind. So I'm an explorer. I like exploring new things, and I get bored very easily. So I don't like doing something similar. I don't like to do like the same thing every single day. Instead, I like doing things that are like different, looking at different cases, looking at different projects, something that's exciting and keeping me on my toes every day. And my purpose is always to do good, be good, do good. That is kind of like the center of who I am. And I always believe in community development and so on. So because of all of those principles, I feel like it keeps me going to want to do better and push myself more. And whether it be as a dietitian or as an individual or as a family member or something like that, I feel like what motivates me is that I want to have the purpose of being good, doing good, living good. And yeah, I think that just makes doing everything that I do, or even doing this MBA, aligned with where I see myself maybe in the next 5 years. I might change again the pathways and do a master's in something else. You never know. But I feel like because at that time, maybe my purpose is still the same, but getting there is different at that point of time.
Understand.
The new exciting project at that time would be different.
She's inspiring.
Yeah.
You want to study a bit, you know.
Right. Okay. I'm also curious, like, because you did mention the pathway might change, because we will never know what is going to happen in the next 5 years and after you finish your MBA and things like that. But as for now, because I get to know you just enrolled into your MBA for just recently for 3 months, right? And so far, what's your future direction? Like, for example, for instance, probably in the coming, right after you finish it, or like finish your MBA, or even, I don't know, within 1 or 2 years?
I think for now, it's a lot of trying to figure out where I want to be as well. I think I have a good idea of where I want to be. And the great thing about doing this MBA is that I have access to like great career coaches, business coaches, mindset coaches, all these different coaches that can help me. Like, I come in and I say like, I want to leave an impact. How can I create greater impact? This is what I have and everything, and show me how to upskill myself. So because of that, with my career coach, I sat down and I wrote 2 main goals that I have for myself in my future direction. So I have a career goal. There's a specific career that I don't know if people know. It's in management consulting, strategy and management consulting. So I want to be there in my full-time role. But I also still want to expand my dietitian platform. So I still want to make relatable content, and I still want to put a platform up that shows that even if they don't see me as a dietitian, but they can see me as an individual that is working a full-time job, but still finds a way to live a healthy lifestyle through my diet, through my exercise, through how I react with my family and everything. I think that's important. So I think the narrative of my platform would change over the next year to a platform that advocates for a healthy lifestyle, not necessarily saying that, yes, I'm a dietitian advocating, but even as an individual, you can live a healthy lifestyle. Because sometimes people think, oh, you're a dietitian, that's why it's easier for you.
No,
That's why it's easier for you to live a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it really isn't. It's like I'm telling you like, I don't know, you're an engineer, so it's easier for you to build a house. It doesn't work like that, you know. It really doesn't.
They don't build houses, right?
Yeah. So like, I don't know, but like, again, at the end of the day, for me, what I want to see myself doing in the future is be a person that can advocate that healthy living is for everyone, and it is a privilege to have the time to do it, but it is privilege that is in your hands, that you can earn to get there. Yeah.
Very. Yeah, I mean, I kind of can imagine when you know, probably in another 1 year, your content, the things that you are actually sharing with your audience, it is not, hi, I'm Dietitian Hasanah, for example, but I'm Hasanah, for example, or I share what I do, but at the same time, you are incorporating
My dietetics
your routine, your lifestyle,
Yeah.
and also, of course, definitely you as a dietitian in terms of how you
Yeah.
take care of your diet and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, it's been a very interesting conversation, honestly.
Yeah.
Because to me, like, it's been maybe 5 years, right? We graduated almost 5 years, 4 to 5 years. We graduated in 2020, and you were
2021.
2021.
Yes.
And at some point, like, I don't know. We are at the age where sometimes we can't figure everything out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, the midlife
Quarter
crisis.
life.
Quarter life.
Quarter life.
Quarter life crisis, right? So when having these kind of conversations with people like Hasanah, or any other dietitians, it just makes me feel like there are so many opportunities out there. Yeah, we shouldn't just stick into just one thing. We should be more open. We should be exploring, like what Hasanah has been mentioning as well.
Yep.
And it makes me feel like the future of dietetics are actually quite bright. Having the
Yeah.
people like Hasanah, having
Yeah.
people like us.
Like us,
You know?
yeah.
So yeah, I think it's been a very interesting conversation, honestly, Hasanah. Yeah. I'm inspired, seriously. I'm not being nice, but I'm inspired.
But yeah, again, I think I really like your point. That sometimes you think that being a dietitian and the impact that you can create as a dietitian is so like a tunnel vision, only that, like being a clinical dietitian. But you can break barriers and bring your profession
Yeah.
as a dietitian through so many things. Because even if, let's say, I go down like the corporate route, I go become, a consultant next
Yep.
year, then at the end of the day, I can still say, oh, I'm a dietitian,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
And people would be like, oh, what's a dietitian? There are people that still don't know.
But
So
it's
I
true.
am advocating for my profession.
Exactly.
I'm talking about it. And I think, like with this podcast too, that's what you guys are doing. People are like, oh, what does this mean?
Yeah.
So like people are going to explore more things. And
Exactly.
your impact as a dietitian is not just your direct impact on patients, but your impact on the whole community as a
Yeah.
dietitian. And that's the beauty of being a dietitian, I think.
You're right. And one thing that I realized and I learned from you today is that you are really proud to be a
Yeah,
dietitian.
right.
I can really feel that.
You get what I mean, right?
Yeah.
It's like maybe some people they don't really choose to be in this pathway.
Yeah.
Read me. But then at some point, you really show that you are proud being a dietitian because if you are going into MBA, you're still thinking about advocating for the profession.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's something I learned so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am seeing a lot of possibility, like out of the conversation
Yeah.
just now, right? And just possibility where your impact is probably because I used to be the kind of person, I used to be the kind of person who, okay, I want to be a clinical dietitian, and because I see the impact very similar like you, because of the placement and etc. I have a good experience. I see I can actually help people, but after some time, throughout the career, the career, and right now having a quarter life crisis kind of things.
You're pretty old for that anyway.
Okay, over there already. Oh no. Yeah. Yeah, but basically it is there are actually more and more possibility where if you are looking at right now with social media, with online, basically
Exactly.
online, we can do so many things.
Yeah.
There's so many things that we can do, and if let's say, I mean, I don't know, I just do feel like I want to give some I don't know, advice kind of thing.
You can.
I just for some of the maybe fresh grad or some of the audience, you do not know what you're gonna do and things like that. But be in this era, right? You can actually try a lot of things. Yeah. Even if you're studying dietitian, studying dietetics, probably that is not your first choice. That is not what you want, etc. But I'm seeing a lot of friends. Probably that is not. Dietetics is not their first choice, right? But after they go through the courses and things like that, that actually helps them. And probably their family member, even though what they are doing is not directly related, they're not being in hospitals and things like that. So the effect or the benefits or the impact is still there, and you can choose the right way for you to elevate your whole impact, to maximize it.
It's in your hands, right?
Yes.
Your impact is in your hands.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. I think we are reaching the end already. Our recording today.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Hasanah, for your
Thank
time.
you,
For
Hasanah.
having me.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yep. We can do again next time. We get a good traction,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And we wish you all the best for your MBA.
Yep.
Don't forget us when you become the management consultant. Yeah.
Yeah, and for the audience, if let's say you like, a usual closing. If let's say you enjoy this episode, feel free to share, you feel free to comment, and of course to subscribe to our channel. And we will see you in the coming episode. Bye bye.
Bye.